Welcome to another QEDTalks, and this time I have Mr.Tarrasque, the one and only, on here. For those disreputable people that may not understand who you are, please tell them why Mr. Tarrasque, who Mr. Tarrasque, when Mr. Tarrasque, whatever question words you want with Mr. Tarrasque. Introduce yourself.
I am Mr. Tarrasque. I always say Tarrasque. The rest of the world says Tarrasque. And some people say Tarrasque, which it should be because it comes from a French monster of myth. But basically, I am Mr. Tarrasque, and I have been doing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons third-party reviews on my YouTube channel for a few years, and just a few weeks ago, something happened in the world of RPGs, tabletop RPGs, just a little thing, just a minor thing, you know. Yeah. And then I opened my Cypher system rulebook for the first time. It was on my shelf for about a year and a half, sent to me by Monty Cook Games, and I opened it, and I was like, whoa! This is so cool. And now I am a Cypher maniac, and I cannot stop making Cypher content, and I'm losing subscribers on one side, and I'm gaining subscribers on the other side.
Yeah, it's
now I am
tough.
at this point. I'm really excited about Cypher system. I'm really excited about Project Black Flag by Kobold Press, which is going to be like the 5th edition 5.5e kind of thing. And I'm also still excited for third-party 5th edition content, but I'm not excited for 1D&D anymore at all. Like, not to hate on anybody, but I'm just not excited for it. Like you.
Yeah, I was talking with Taryn on the last interview in Destructible Boy, and he was the same thing. He's like, I've still got like 5th edition content. Like, this is my living. Like, this is what I do. But like, I'm just not going to touch like 1D&D. Like he's like, I have no shade against it, but he's just like, I'm just done. There's things in the system that just aren't going the direction I want. And there's so much other stuff out there, including so many people, I believe, including yourself, are like developing their own stuff now as well. Mm-hmm. So everyone's just like, I'm sorry, you were the big boy, but Wizards, but you kind of broke that. You broke that trust.
Yeah.
and everyone kind of moved off.
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, 5th edition is a great system. I mean, everything I own right here is 5th edition, and it is still a great system. It has its flaws, but any system has its flaws, right? So, I'm still playing 5th edition with my main group and everything. And if a TPK should happen or something like that, then I could say like, hey, we could play Cypher, or we could play Black Flag, or we could play whatever. But yeah, it's still a fun system. It's still just like. Yeah,
I'm still in 5th edition, a 5th edition game every week. I don't know if I'd ever run it again, but I'm still in a game. Like, you can still have fun with it. I think people should still have fun with it if they've like got the books and they've got their game there, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just won't give anything more to Wizards at this point.
Same.
So yeah.
Well, for me, it's also a matter of due to the position that I am in, I get everything for free. People bombard me with books, and the only books I have to buy with my own money are Wizards of the Coast books. That's the only books I have to buy with my own money, which is a luxury position to be in, and it humbles me incredibly. But there's just so much content thrown my way that I just don't have the interest and time to put money and effort in Wizards of the Coast books, right? So it's just like there's so much talent out there, and some people are selling their books for way too little money. And yeah, it's crazy. And there are so many good artists and writers and everything out there that that interests me more right now. Just that's the way it is. I can't help it.
The creator space was big even before all of this stuff, but now everyone's like, I can make that. I don't need to be a big company. I can do that. And I think a lot of people are realizing like their homebrew stuff, like there's a market for that. People like just anyone can be a creator, and people want to see that stuff. They want more stuff because not everyone wants to put the work into it and stuff. Whereas like you get people like yourself who like you just posted a bunch of pictures of like you getting your books in from like your one Kickstarter and whatnot. And Like you've got some experience there. You can make the shiny bucks for everybody, which is pretty cool. I am looking forward to seeing where it goes.
If you are a small company, that's the thing, right? You're still like extremely excited for every little thing. For me, it was my first Kickstarter, and I am a publisher, but this is my first Kickstarter, and I'm sending them out with my own bare hands, right? I get like this pile of books on my girlfriend is like, when is this pile of books leaving my house? And I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm putting stickers on envelopes and sending them out and putting more stickers. Working on it. I got 90 more to go. And it's 89, 87, 86. It's just, I forgot about 88. But yeah, so that's the exciting part about it. I love it. I love it. I love everything what I do. So
how, as someone that's slowly approaching my own possible first Kickstarter, how was the experience your first time? Like, was it a lot?
I am not gonna lie, man. I am 35 right now, and it was the most stressful month of my life. Although it was doing really good, I had the feeling that I needed to sit in front of my computer 24/7 for 30 days. Every time when I went to bed or I didn't sit in front of the television, I could barely eat. I was like, I need to be on top of things. I need to respond to comments. I need to send emails. There's still this and this and this to do. I've unlocked a new stretch goal, so now I need to get the art out. I need to do Kickstarter update. It was complete. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna like put flowers on it, right? It's just, it was complete and utter stress. Really, 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 really real stress. But I did it again a year later, and it was the same stress, and I'm going to do it again. In about a month or so, I'm planning another one. It's the kind of stress from like if you're a musician, right? You're playing in front of a crowd, and half an hour before you need to play in front of a crowd, you're like, oh man, I'm never going to do this again, but it's the adrenaline rush and everything from it is just so it's addicting. It's just it's
So
right, and it's just great to see like posts on Twitter and everything from people like, hey, I got Mr. T's book and it looks really great. And then you got some people saying like, oh, there's a few things that I like less about it, which is awesome if people say that, because I can write that down and I can bring that into my other Kickstarter. And it's just
I'm reluctant but excited at the same time to try the whole process. Like I'm not smart. I should be trying the whole process with probably a smaller book, but instead I've got a chunky book, so we're gonna see how that goes. I'm still not entirely sold if I'm even gonna do it, or I'm just gonna start out digital, and then if it does well enough, then say, okay, maybe I'm gonna do like a Kickstarter just for like the print angle of it. We'll see how it goes, but it seems like a scary process from everyone that I've talked to. They're like, yeah, it's intense.
It is, yeah. And especially, I know a lot of people who like miscalculated some stuff and ended up in debt, right? Because my first Kickstarter I did it together with JVC Perry, who is an incredible writer and has incredible adventures out there. And we raised, if I'm not lying, 28 or so thousand euros, which looks like my friends were, hey, you just earned 28,000 euros in 1 month. I'm like, nope.
Operating costs.
I'm going to be super happy if I see 1,000 euros from that. So I mean, so that's for my writing, for everything that I put, the work that I put in it. So, I have seen some people that are at home with a pile of books and they don't have any money left to send them out, because they charge shipping up front, right? Mm-hmm. Which, if you do that and you wait 2 years, it might become double the price due to circumstances. So, that's...
I was talking with Gonza Gaming, because he doesn't just do Cypher stuff. He's got he's branched out into several systems, and he's published like books and stuff like that. And he said it's been tough the past couple of years, partly especially for print books, because like the price of paper and like the materials have just been going up and up and up and up and up, and it's a lot. Like he's like, I'm making like less and less every time I do this. It's not easy.
Yeah, it really creeps up on you because they do like 2% raise in price the 1 month, and then it's 2% again, and then it's 2%. But it just keeps. I felt it too. I started my Kickstarter like my first Kickstarter like in the starting phase of the COVID pandemic, where we still were like, oh, this is going to be a temporary thing. Everything's cool.
2 weeks.
Right?
It's just 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just going to be locked down for a month or so, you know. Yeah, it's a flu, right? So, and then I did the Kickstarter, but then, borders started locking down and prices were rising like incredibly fast, not only for paper, but also for shipping and taxes. Just to get something outside of Europe into Belgium it costs so much money just to get it here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a guy on the border somewhere who needs to get paid. I don't know. And, that all of that combined, and then the ship, the big cargo ship parked himself like sideways into that canal.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember
that happened at exactly the wrong time for me.
Oh, no.
So I got like an incredible amount of delays because I was waiting for print copies to review so I could give my thoughts and then print, right? So but those were just taking weeks to get here, while they were like, we'll probably take a week to arrive at your home, and it took like 3 or 4 weeks, and all of that piles up, right? So and people were like, where is our physical rewards? And I'm like, I'm trying, but then again, I did a video, just me sitting down explaining what was going on, and like 99% of people were like, yeah, man, we understand it. Take it easy. And that's the great part of having a community, having a positive community. People are like, you know, we got your PDF, we supported you. It comes when it comes, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I think most of the customers, most of the people, especially on Kickstarter, understand, like, if you put money into a Kickstarter, like, you're not going to see a product anytime soon. Like, that's not a thing. This isn't Amazon, but you get like a couple of those guys that are like, well, I gave you money. Where's my stuff? I'm like, no.
Yeah, but that's also the landscape right now is for 5th edition, at least. There are these big companies that write their stuff up front. Smaller companies are doing it as well, write their stuff up front, do a Kickstarter purely for the promotional side of it. Mm-hmm. It's purely pre-orders. It's just to know how many books they should print. And they send them out like 2 months later because they're already done. It's done. They're printed. Yeah. 2 months later, everybody has their reward. Like 2 weeks later, everybody has their PDF. So people are getting used to that, at using Kickstarter as a pre-order store more than backing a creator who has a passion for a product, who is doing a pitch line like, I get this idea, give me money so that I can make this, right?
I can do it, and I need an artist, and I need like such and such an editor.
Yeah, and that idea of like kickstarting, like it's in the word kickstarting a project, that idea is kind of fading into the background. And now Kickstarter, a few months ago, they just completely changed their rules that they send out to backers, and it literally says Kickstarter is not a pre-order store. And then there is this entire bit where they say like, hey, you could end up not getting a reward. Mm-hmm. Right? That's just how it works, which would never be my intention, and 99% of other people on Kickstarter's intentions. But it is possible that, for example, I get hit by a car and I'm unable to finish my project, right?
Yeah. I think they partly put that up to cover their own butts because of not from the tabletop RPG space as much, but like the video game, like Kickstarter's so bad for these like pop-up semi-scam video game stuff that happens all the time.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the reason they probably changed some of that stuff.
Probably, but it's yeah, it's necessary but it's just a small percentage of people that look at it that way. Other people, if you go out from a community, if you already have a community and you are like, for me, my channel is all about positivity, right? So I don't review stuff that I don't like, because people put their time, money, and sweat and tears and blood in it. And if I don't like it, doesn't mean that I have to go and destroy it on YouTube. That's my mindset, and that's also the reason why I've built a positive minded community. So everybody's like, yay, happy D&D, we're all nerds, we're all in the same camp.
That's the thing, is that we don't need to be having these game edition wars or anything, which I've never understood, because I've like, as much as I love Cypher, and it's probably one of my focuses right now, like, that's not the only game I play. I've got, like, I'm in several games during the course of the week, and only one of them is actually Cypher right now. Like, I don't get the game edition war stuff that people get into, one camp or the other. I like all games. I just like playing with people. It's fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if people often try to set off that conversation with me, like 5th edition against Cypher and against this and against that. Pathfinder is way better and all of that. And I'm always like, yeah, if you want to play one video game for the rest of your life, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm playing Pokemon, I'm playing, I don't know, World of Warcraft, and I'm playing some Call of Duty if the right people are online, just to play with those people, not because it's Call of Duty, but just to play with those people, right? So that's how it is for tabletop RPGs. And I have to admit, I've been there. I've been a 5th edition slave for a very long time, but it was just because all of that content was coming my way, and I was like, I never opened my eyes for other systems, which I am doing right now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it.
Well, here's one question. How long have you been in the RPG space? Like, how long have you been playing these games?
I've been playing D&D for 20 years now. I'm 35. I started around when I was 14 or 15 years old. 3rd edition back then. And it has always been D&D for me, right? I've been...
Okay.
Because back then we had internet, but not like the real internet we know now, right? So it was just, the game wasn't called a role-playing game. The game was called D&D. That was just what it was. And so I played 3rd edition, and then I stuck with 4th edition all the way through.
Really?
4th edition. I never went to Pathfinder. I played 2 games of Pathfinder, and I was just like, it's cool, but I don't own the books, and I don't want to buy them, and I don't want to run a game. I'm playing 4th edition, got all of that. And I'm one of those people, I actually liked 4th edition. It wasn't D&D enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they would have called it differently, it would have been a great game, right?
Everyone always said that. They're like, it wasn't a bad system, but it wasn't D&D.
That's exactly, it wasn't D&D. It wasn't the same number crunching type of thing. It was more akin to like a video game, or like with cooldowns and everything. And then 5th edition came along, and I just played 5th edition, and then I started my YouTube channel out of I was bored, and I just sat down turned on my camera and started talking about 3rd edition adventures that I had laying around, and I was just reviewing them while 5th edition was already out.
That's pretty sweet. So you've been like around the block. You've been like experiencing like RPGs and stuff for a long time.
The only other RPG that I've ever played is a Star Wars RPG that was really kind of like third edition D&D.
Okay.
It was Star Wars, but I can't remember which one exactly it was. But I played that for like a year or something like that, and I really liked that one.
Probably either the D20 one or the Saga edition one, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it was the D20 one. Yeah.
Yeah, they were both pretty neat.
Familiar.
I've actually got, I think, copies of the books of both editions behind me somewhere. I've gone through like every RPG system available, I swear. I've played like everything. It's been too long.
Yeah, some people, like, especially in the USA and Canada, and it happened sooner that people discovered that there actually were more, right? Mm-hmm. But in Belgium is like a little bit behind on that. So for us, we were still playing D&D while other countries were already experiencing like the other stuff, the bigger world out there. So yeah.
Well, I imagine for it, the entire scene, probably the over the entire time has probably been very different in Europe because and like different zones, even in Asia and stuff like that, because most of the companies started in the US. So like the way the printing works and the shipping works and everything like that, I imagine the scenes have been very different over time in the various continents and stuff.
People are often like, they ask questions about a campaign setting, and they want to do stuff exactly like it is in the campaign setting. And if somebody does it just a little bit different, they're like, no, because the campaign setting says this person is such and such. And I'm like, no. That's how it is in the book. But then there is your table, and there's your table, and there's your table, and there's your table. And with the incredible rise of players the last few years, there are a lot of confused people about what is allowed and what is not allowed, while people forget that it's just everything is allowed, right? And
yeah, a lot of people coming from like video games or like just fans of movies and stuff, and they're like, it's not canon, and like that's not how this works.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's like it's whatever you want is canon. It's your table. You these are just guides. Usually most RPGs are like, this is just like a guide. Like, take what you want from it. Doesn't matter. You always get those simulationists. As long I've been playing since 1994, and there's always been those guys. The simulate, like, that's not realistic. You're an elf shooting sparkle bolts. What are you talking about? That's not realistic. I know it's not realistic. That's fine. It's okay.
That's why I'm playing. If I want realism, I'll get in my car and drive down the street. Then I got realism.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm playing. That's why I'm in a dark room tossing dice around.
Yeah. No, it's just, and what do you, so thinking right now, like, obviously, like, it's a big thing for tabletop RPGs that people are playing this as a group. It's very, like, it's like teamwork, cooperation, critical thinking with people, stuff like that. Hitting my own microphone. And this is one of the reasons I used to run games exclusively for kids for a little while, because it helps them out. It's really awesome. But what do you think about the surge lately of solo play? I've been seeing a lot of people lately pushing like these like solo games.
Yeah, I think it is, for me, it doesn't work. I tried it. I downloaded a few that were sent to me by people. And I even have a video that's literally titled Playing with Myself. Yes, that's a pun. And I
like it.
But it's an old video. It's been a few years ago. Yeah, it just doesn't work for me. For me personally, it doesn't work. But it's great. Hey, if you can sit down with a book and like back in the day, I remember when I was a kid, you had these stories where you could make choices within the story.
Oh yeah.
And then it says flip to page 76, and you flip to page 76, you make another decision, flip back to page 4, you flip back to page 4. It's basically that, right? But it's just with a system behind it. So I like that it exists. I love it, but I've tried it and it's just not me. I for example, have a really hard time playing an RPG with only 2 people. Like, if it's just me and 1 player, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? This is I need like at least 2 players in front of me. That needs to be like a group activity, right? For me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of people that try, like every week people send me these solo adventures, and I've stopped, to be perfectly honest, I've stopped looking at them just because they're solo adventures, because that is just a subdivision of the whole hobby that just doesn't interest me personally.
I get that. Like, I was reviewing, or I was looking at the solo RPG guy, like he did a video for Cypher and stuff with I forget who now. But they were doing stuff on like Cypher, a lot of people in Cypher trying the solo thing. And especially with Cypher, where it needs a lot of like the GM intrusions and narrative and stuff, it definitely doesn't work for me. I don't get how it works. I see the appeal. I mean, if you're the type that can have that experience, it's like sitting down to read a novel, like it's a very personal experience. Awesome. I personally, especially in narrative games like Fate or Cypher or anything on the more narrative side, I don't get how that would work personally. Just because, like, I mean, you can only metagame yourself. Like you know what you're thinking. It's like you can.
It's like playing chess against yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
So no shade on the solo players, but I'm the same way. I even said it in their video. I think where I was like, I see the benefit of this. I don't think I could do it, but I mean, the fact that you guys are enjoying it, that's awesome. So continue on. Yeah.
Yeah. Same opinion.
But yeah, it's just a different style of play, which is one of the beauties of the way that we do this. As long as giant greedy corporations don't try to shut down certain things. Not saying who. Yeah. All right. So I don't want to make this particular Kid Talks too long. So what we'll do is we'll go into like the next section where we get like viewer questions, or not viewer questions, but like community questions, and try to answer them together and see if how well we align on this stuff. So I've just reviewed them long enough to make sure that they're not bad or anything, but I haven't really got time to like think about them or anything yet. So let's see what we got. I can randomize them here. I Snuggle Pickles asks, why? Okay. Asks, I have a story that I want to tell in a certain way, and I'm not the greatest at improv, but my players say I'm always railroading them. How do you balance player agency with your own narrative goals as a game master?
Allow me.
Oh, he's got this. He's getting props.
This is like the greatest trick in the history of D&D, tabletop RPG storytelling. This is the point where your players are, right? Imagine this is like your sheet, right? Okay. So this is the point where your players are, and this is the point where your players need to be. No, I'm going to say it differently. Okay. Give your players the choice to go to city A or city B. Don't have your players know that both cities are exactly the same city.
Yes, but modular play style. That's what I always heard.
And give them the chance. And if they go to place B, it is the same city that you prepared. Then you can prepare. If they eventually want to go to city A, you got time to prepare city A because they first went to B, so you can prepare city A. The only thing you need to maybe change around is like one might be in the Southlands and one might be in the Northlands. The only thing you can change around is like in one place it's incredibly hot, and in another place you freeze to death, and in one place there's catfolk, and the other place there's Vikings. But other than that, like the main idea or the main how the city works, or even like they could have almost the same name basically, but it is just that is how you do that kind of stuff. But also what I wanted to say before this is, if this is the place your players are and this is the place your players need to go, you could send them here and then there, or you could set them here and then there, but they'll end up here either way, right? And that is a form of railroading, but I don't see railroading as a bad thing personally. I, for example, really like narrative video games that railroad me. I like Tomb Raider, right? That just say, you need to go there. And there's like 3 ways to go there, but you need to go there, and you need to solve a puzzle under here. You're in a room, solve a puzzle to get to the other side of the room. And that, I don't see that as a bad thing, personally. It is the feeling of choice that is often neglected, not the choice per se. That's my opinion on that. It's
not many KED Talks I've done where I'm like, I have the exact same answer, but in this case, I have the exact same answer. Because one of the things I always say is design modular. Like I always say, my example is always like a goblin encounter, a goblin village or something. It doesn't matter if the goblins are in the forest or the mountains or tomorrow or a week from now. The important thing is they stumble upon this goblin camp. So put it wherever, whenever. And then the same thing with railroading. I think Brennan Lee Mulligan said it. He's like, I don't use a railroad, I use a fun slide. You're still going down the path I've determined, but it's twisty and turny. It's super fun.
That's actually a really good way to say that. That's actually a really good way to say that. My campaigns always feel really open-ended, but I somehow get my players always exactly where I need them to be. They rarely surprise me, but no, they surprise me. But I have the I don't know why, but I am like a master of improvisation. Never learned it at school or whatever. I have a lot of things that I'm bad at, like preparing, for example. But for me, improvisation, I can come up with character names like that. My players last session, they were like, say to an NPC, hey, what's your name? And I was like, I don't even know what I said. And I just said a name and I was like, I'm this person. And Juicy Jenna, that was it. Juicy Jenna. I was like, I'm Juicy Jenna, by the way. And one of the girls at my table, she was like, wait. I just stop. I need to command you. How do you do it? I know for a fact you did not prepare that name, but it was like, boom, like that. And not having that skill, there is actually a trick to do that, to come up with NPC names like that. I've done a video on this, and it is actually one of my secret tricks. My players don't know because they don't watch my videos, because otherwise they would have told me. But if you're playing, there goes the Tome of Beasts tree. If you are playing a tabletop RPG, right?
Yeah.
You almost always have a book in front of you. Doesn't matter which one, it's in front of you. But if you open the book and you put it open on the table next to you, right? On the first page. What's on the first page?
Oh yeah, your names for everybody that's been in it.
All has some names. Female and male. All different kinds of the world. There are African sounding names in here. There are USA names in here, European, Italian sounding names in here. All you need to do, and this is what I do, literally, I just remember one male name and one female name. I print them in my head. And whenever I need a name, boom, I launch it. And then when I got like just a second of time when my players are discussing, I just glance to the book, just search for another name. Bomb. That's in there. I only need to remember two names. And I've been using that trick for years. And it works. It works incredibly well. And I've told it to a few game masters, and they literally told me like that completely changed my session.
Yeah,
that just completely changed my session, because coming up with names on the fly brings immersion in the world.
Yeah, I always have a list of backup names. Usually I copy and paste them from the credits of the last movie that I watched.
It's actually the same ID, but it's really, really good ID.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always nice. You have to improv a bit. I know there's been discussions about this in some of the Discords lately. Some people are like, I can't improv, but I don't know. It's good that if you run a well-planned game and stuff like that, but I think if you can't improv a bit, your players are going to surprise you and you're going to get frustrated, because you've got to learn to do it at least a little bit.
Yeah, another very good trick to come up with like a city name or whatever, or a character name, is just think of a letter in the alphabet and go from there. Like the letter X. If you asked me, hey, you're talking to I'm a blacksmith, and you're talking to me, right? And you're like, oh, by the way, I didn't get your name. What's your name? And I just think about X. I'm like, oh, my name. I'm Xavier Brown Button or something like that, right? So it just comes out, and it just from one letter. I'm Xavier. Oh, Xavier what? Yeah, Xavier Brown Button. Just go from the B, Brown Button. Just say something.
Just say something. The hard part is remembering what you said after.
That's
mine's a little easier, since my games are live streamed and recorded and stuff, so I can just rewatch it later. But in my home games, I'm like, I named an NPC and I have no idea what I said. Do it all the time.
Me, it's just, I jot it down. I have just a small booklet for every game that I play.
I try to take notes. I'm bad at it because I'm like, especially in my home game, I'm like waving my arms around and like using body language and getting into it. So I never think of like stopping to write things down. I'm bad at that.
Yeah, I'm really good at getting my players to discuss among themselves, which gives me time to write stuff down and go to the toilet. And actually also eat snacks, because otherwise I'm unable to eat snacks. Everybody's like, I'm so full from the snacks, and I'm like, I'm talking the entire game. I don't have time to eat snacks.
Yeah, because I'm always doing something. I never, well, not that I need the snacks. I need the less snacks anyways, but I never get the snacks at the table. But I think improv is really, really important. I mean, you never know what the players are going to do. I had one time where I made an off-the-cuff joke about this guy giving candy to a children, and he seems kind of creepy. And the players are like, and I made it as a joke, thinking, okay, cool, I made a joke, we're moving on. No. The players decided that's a thing now. And they like followed him home, and I'm like, I've got to make a whole thing for this. And yeah, it was an entire ordeal. I like made on the fly, made up this encounter in this farmhouse, and he's standing over like a bloodied woman in a bed, and they're like, oh, and they did this like home invasion, and like they ended up killing this guy, burying him out back behind his house and waking the woman up, and she's like, oh, where's the man that saved me? And they're like, there was the what? And she's like, oh yeah, I was attacked by bandits on the road, and the man, and that's like, he's a little mentally slow, but he's always like giving candies to kids, and he like donates his time at the lumberyard and stuff. He saved me on the road. Where is he? And the party's like, oh, you son of a bitch. But yeah, I planned none of it. You have to. So that was a good fun.
That's a difficult question to answer, the first question, and especially the improvisation part of it. People often ask me to like, hey, Mr. T, you should do a video on how to improv. But that's the thing. I haven't been taught how to improv. I just know how to improv. I can teach you how to play bass guitar because I have been taught how to play bass guitar. But I don't know how to teach you how to improv, because for me, it just happens from the top of my dome. It just comes out, and that's
I'm the same way. There's tips and tricks I guess you can get from like, if you like Google actual like improv troops, like when they're doing like the stage plays. But yeah, like I don't know, I just do it. I've just done it over years. Like, how do you explain that? Like,
yeah
I don't, yeah, it's really hard. But yeah, for
nature.
For the I Snuggle Pickles, for the person looking to balance player agency with narrative goals, I think we answered it pretty well. Basically, like you can still get there, let them meander a bit in the meantime, but as long as your goal, maybe the goalpost can be moved or something, as long as you can guide them in that right direction eventually, they don't have to get there right away. I think that's probably a good way. Let's get with Captain Ladylocks. I never realized there were other RPG systems till all this OGL nonsense happened. I think a lot of people are in that boat. I've seen a lot of new people lately, but it all feels so overwhelming when I look at how many there are and how different they can be. How do you even get started looking at all these new systems?
For me, it's the same way how you pick video games. You browse. You see what your friends are playing, what people are recommending, and you, like, when I get sent hundreds of RPG modules every month, physically, digitally. I cannot read them back to back, all of them. I cannot.
No.
That's impossible. So I just make a first selection on just what, like, from the title, the art, quickly flipping through it, right? Like, how do you pick a novel to read? Same way. How do you pick a novel to read? You go to the bookstore or the library or to Amazon or whatever, and you pick what interests you, or you make like a broad selection first, right? And it's with video games. For me, it's the same. Often I find myself on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and I'm just like browsing, right? What's new and what's out there, and they're like, oh, there's this game. Oh, that looks cool. And then I go on YouTube and I look for a review of that game from some of my favorite YouTubers that do reviews, and I'm just like, okay, this might be my thing. And I think RPGs, you should look at RPGs as not a live deciding moment, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going with Cypher from now on, I have to be a Cypher person.
Yeah, really.
Oh, I'm going to play. What's the other game called? Pathfinder. From now on, I'm hardcore Pathfinder, and if anybody ever says 5th edition, I'll hit them with a stick. That's right. That's not how that works for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like, hey man, I could go out tomorrow. If I got a friend calling me, hey, we're playing Pathfinder, we got a seat. Do you want to play it one shot? I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
of course, right? I don't. Sure, it's not my game of preference, but I'm playing. Like Call of Duty is not my game of preference, but if you guys are playing, yeah, I'm playing along. I'm doing some bad jokes and right, and that's how I look at it. People see it too much as a life deciding moment to pick an RPG, which it isn't.
No, like I was saying earlier in the video, like I've played like a billion different systems at this point, I swear. You don't have to be, like you say, you don't have to be stuck with one. I've tried a whole bunch. Sometimes it's good reviews. Sometimes it's an IP that I know exists that I like the Aliens RPG when it came out. Before I even read the reviews, I'm like, I love horror, sci-fi, I love aliens, I'm gonna buy this. And then when the reviews came out and everyone's like, this is an amazing RPG, and I'm like, I'm glad I got it. But it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I've picked up RPGs before just because it looked shiny, like the cover was shiny. I knew nothing about it. I'm like, you know what, fuck it, let's see. It looks cool, I'm gonna try it.
I understand that for some people it's difficult because for me right now, I have kids, I have a family. I don't have time to play many different systems with many different groups. As a matter of fact, right now I have one active group, physically, one active group at my home, kitchen table. And that's for now. At this point, that's 5th edition. I'm planning to start a Cypher campaign and stuff, but I see how people are like, yeah, but I don't have time to play all of them. Don't have time to browse around and try 6 of them or 7 of them. Which I understand that at that point it's a bit hard and it feels like a life deciding moment. But the only thing I can say about that is just if you have a group of players and you're like, hey guys, I've got a few RPGs. How about we play a one shot in every RPG and see what RPG? Like I've got 4 of them. And let's play a one shot in 4 RPGs. Let's play Alien. Let's play Pathfinder. Let's play Cypher and Star Wars, whatever. And let's just play a one shot or 2 sessions of each one, and then maybe we can see which one we want to turn into a campaign. I think
another good thing that people can do if you guys you want to dabble and just see. One, most systems generally have some sort of like starter or primer that just shows like a little bit of the system just to get a taste of it. But also like YouTube's a thing. Live plays are a thing. Yeah, I guarantee you can find them. You're sitting on the toilet and not doing anything else, just doing your business. Hey, watch a little bit of a live play. Like see what people are doing in the game and how it plays out.
Yeah, and what you're saying is true. For most RPGs, it doesn't cost you a single dollar to try it out. Yeah. Cypher has these free adventures. There's enough adventures out there, cheap or free for 5th edition. There's enough out there for Pathfinder for you to find, just to try out a dungeon or try out like a puzzle game or whatever. And I often ask, if people ask me this type of question because it comes back a lot, I'm just like, yeah, do you play Settlers of Catan? And only Settlers of Catan? Or do you play Settlers of Catan, and the next day you might play Monopoly, and the day after you might play, I don't know, Risk, and then, right? So you don't play one board game for the rest of your life. You might have one board game that you like the most, and that you play the most. For me, that's Settlers of Catan. We played the shit out of that, the big version, like with the sea and everything, right? So... But that doesn't mean I don't play other board games, right? So that's kind of the same thing, the same way to look at it. RPGs are different games, and a system is just a system. Play whatever you want. Play.
And honestly, if you have a good group, it doesn't really matter what system you play. To be perfectly honest, The system grants you tools that make certain things easier. If it's a narrative game, maybe some narrative tools help support that and stuff like that. Maybe you want a crunchier tactical game, then you want to find the system that helps support that. But in the end, like, if you have a good group that's just willing to play with your style, it does not matter. It could be roll for shoes, like an ultra like simple micro RPG. It doesn't matter. You're still gonna have fun with it. It's still gonna work out fine.
Totally true. Totally true.
How are we doing for time here? Okay, I think we got time for one quick more one before you got to take off. Righteous Ketchup asks, I have a player that has a really tough character to deal with in the game because of conflicting with the rest of the group. How do you handle a player wanting to play a character with a personality that conflicts so badly with the group? I personally think this isn't really a game issue. This is a people issue. It's
a group issue.
You got to talk to him. You just got to talk to him as an adult.
I have had the luxury of, for 20 years now, playing with people with none of those issues. I've never encountered an issue. People are used to me making jokes about different subjects, and I mock everything there is to mock. My table, everything, including myself. I mock my friends. I mock the game. I mock everything, right? So, no, I don't know. No, that's the question that comes back a lot, and I'm never able to answer it. It's just because I don't have experience with it. Maybe I attract the right type of people for my table. Maybe it's just my friend group that's just people who are okay with kind of everything. Yeah, I don't know. If a person like knows that their character is that most people at the table have a problem with their character, then I think it is up to that one person to say, like, to not play that character, right? Because if 4 people have an issue with one character, then the issue is probably with the character.
Yeah, because generally during your like session 0 or when you're just jibber jabbering about the game before you actually start it, usually there's some sort of like unwritten social contract. Like, you guys have agreed, like, all right, this is like a pirate game. We're gonna play pirates, and then like if one guy comes in and he's like, all right, I'm a mecha pilot, and you're like, that's not the theme at all. Like, that's a personality. That's a person issue. I think they have to deal with, because it sounds very much like this person has one of those that, like, that's what my character would do situations. But you design the character, like that's your choice that it's done that. So just.
Yeah,
adult conversation.
I know that this meme is going around, like you say, like that's what your character would do. But I kind of am on like both sides of that of that, because I often, like, every now and then when my players are like, oh, I don't know what I should do, I tell them what would that character do, because you designed the character. That I think holding a person responsible for the character they design is a wrong way of looking at it, because that would be holding I don't know, George Lucas responsible for Darth Vader actions. That's complete and utter bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's I don't mean that against you, but just against that opinion. You create a character. The idea of that character being you doesn't have to be the case for you. I often play from I am that character, right? And I play a sturdy dwarf, which I'm not, but I'm playing one, right? So this character kind of represents me, and what would the character do? What would I do, right? But I could create an evil character, but that's the character that I've written. If people weren't allowed to write characters that don't agree with like what they agree with, then you wouldn't have stories at all. Not a single one. You wouldn't have Professor Snape. He wouldn't exist, right? Because nobody would, right? You created Professor Snape, and that's wrong. No, Professor Snape is wrong.
I like that we
right?
disagree a little bit on this one, because I think it's a viewpoint for that's what your character would do trope. Because for me, that only applies if the character is being disruptive to the media. So say Darth Vader was represented as a KKK character that was ultra racist. Yes, George Lucas, I think, would be held accountable for that.
Of course, yeah.
Because it would be disruptive to the media. So it's not just like playing an evil character that's in the campaign. I've played evil characters in a campaign with like this lawful good paladin, and it worked out fine because we found a way for it to work in the game. But I think that if it's disruptive and this person's like, well, that's what I made my character to do. It's like, if you made a disruptive character, that's on you.
That's true.
It's one thing to make a character that's interesting, but it's another thing to make a character that disrupts the process, the table. That's the way I think of it. It's a lot, because at that point, once again, this isn't a game thing. There's no rule that's going to handle this. This is a social issue at a table of nerds that are generally known as not having good social skills. So yeah, it's always a tough one. You're going to have to take it on a case by case basis. Righteous Ketchup, I don't know what kind of player you have, but I mean, if you're friends with them, if they're at your table, 9 times out of 10, just like take them aside and be like, hey, like, can you just tone it down a bit, or maybe just shift it a little bit? Like, you don't have to like end the character, but maybe just like it's throwing a wrench into the gears a little bit. If we could just do it a little differently, I don't even care how, just a little differently, and most people will respond, I think, pretty favorably to that.
I think so too, but I don't have enough experience with that personally.
I've gotten lucky in my home games.
I have never had to like really take a player apart and be like, yeah, this is not okay or something like that.
I run enough public games of like complete randos I've never met before, like going to conventions, playing in a public space, stuff like that. I've had several of those guys, and sometimes there's some people that are not going to take a talking to. They're not going to deal well. Sometimes just people are assholes. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens. The human race is the human race. I think a lot of us are great, but there's a couple in the mix. Couple in the mix. So before we end here, is there anything else you wanted to share or plug about yourself? Any ongoing projects or anything you want to be like, hey?
I'm translating my adventure to the Cypher system.
Yes, I'm hoping. Can't wait.
So just really quickly, I have an adventure, Isle of the Dreaded Curse, that I've written with JVC Perry. It is a 5th edition adventure, did really good, sold a bunch of copies, and people seem to like it. Especially the people that talk to me seem to like it. I was also talking with Monty Cook themselves, the creators behind the Cypher system, and they also said, yeah, we don't have enough third-party creators creating adventures for the Cypher system.
We don't.
There's a big content gap there. So I'm like, yeah, I love the Cypher system. So I'm going to just do a Kickstarter to translate the adventure to the Cypher system, and hopefully also update some of the art, because there's just, I got like, for some parts of the book, I got some ideas for like really like specific art that I wasn't able to do for the 5th edition one. So maybe if it raises enough, I will do some specific art, but the book will just be completely translated into the Cypher system. Still figuring out the details and how to do it and everything, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. So I'm probably launching the Notify Me on launch page this or next week or something like that. So
I'm really excited about that, because you were so right. That's a lack. There's a big space there. There is not enough people posting like adventures of any kind or adventure paths or anything like that. And we need more. Like everyone's used to just having to like make their own stuff, which is normally what I do. But yeah, it'll be so nice to have that void starting to get filled.
The issue that I've seen with that is when I type it in on like Drive-Thru RPG, I'm seeing some But the problem, like the strength of the Cypher system is also its weakness, and that is it is for every genre. And that is also a weakness, because if I type it in and drive through RPG, I'm seeing sci-fi, I'm seeing horror, I'm seeing like modern day London, I'm seeing some fantasy. But like if you go specific into one, there isn't a lot. If you are specifically looking for sci-fi, there isn't a lot. If you're specifically looking for fantasy, there isn't a lot. So that's where I want to come in and be like, hey, here is a fantasy adventure that will take you at least 4, 5, maybe 6 sessions. If you run the side quest, maybe even like 7 sessions. And yeah, that's how I kind of want to do that. So kind of fill that gap.
I think it's needed, and very, very needed. But yeah, so I know that we are on a time crunch here, so I don't want to keep you around for too long here, but I do want to thank you for coming out. His links for all of his stuff will be in the doobly-doo below. You'll be able to check it out and see everything that he's doing and is about to do and all of that good stuff. So yeah,
thank you for having me. Really, it was awesome chat.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out. And as always, for all of you, stay healthy, stay safe, and have a good one. Eh?